The Narcissist. Pet Manipulation. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Those of you that have followed my work for some time will be aware of how the narcissist utilizes pet names for their victims. You can watch the video Pet in relation to the objectification that takes place there. This video isn't about the use of pet names, but it's about the use of a pet, an animal, the way that the narcissist manipulates using that animal. Narcissists manipulate in lots of different ways. The reason being is that the manipulation is the road by which the narcissist gets to the prime aims of control, fuel, character traits, and residual benefits. There are innumerable ways that the narcissist will manipulate, some far more sophisticated than others. There are variations on a particular theme. There are differing types, and they have differing impacts upon the victim. They can be grouped into ones which are benign, flattery, bribery, false compassion, for example, false contrition, and the malign, silent treatments, physical violence, sexual violence, circular conversations, insult, belittlement, invalidation, and so forth. A common form of manipulation is triangulation. It comes in three forms: triangulation with event, triangulation with person, which is probably the most common, and triangulation with object. These again can be addressed in both a benign and malign way. For example, the narcissist compares you favourably with one of his exes. That allows him to assert control over you, receive fuel by way of your pleased reaction, and your agreement that the ex is an awful human being provides him with an indirect assertion of control over that individual. Bases are being hit in relation to the two individuals, you and the ex, that are on the narcissist's radar and therefore must be controlled. The receipt of the fuel is a bonus from you. In other instances, you're triangulated in malign fashion. For instance, your cooking's not up to the standard of that of my mother. I think I'm better off moving back in with her. Or, my ex always wanted to do this. Why don't you? The narcissist will also triangulate people with a pet animal. Commonly, people ask, HG, do narcissists love their animal? I have a separate video addressing that very question. I'd encourage you to watch it. Unsurprisingly, a pet animal is just another device, another appliance that is there to be utilized by the narcissist for the purposes of manipulation, i.e. the road to get to the prime aims. And I'm going to provide you with an example of how a mid-range narcissist manipulates using their pet animal through social media. What I'm about to describe to you might be seen with an upper mid-ranger, but it's unlikely. More possible with lower mid-range, but most likely from middle range, be that A or B. The overwhelming angel, the individual that thinks they're a kind person, or the crybaby narcissist. The middle mid-range narcissist is the most passive-aggressive and can often be one of the hardest to spot. They hold themselves out as being a decent person. They are twigs, if you will, off the same branch. And thus, middle range A and middle range B share many similarities: passive aggressiveness, use of silent treatments, use of flattery, victim mentality, pity plays, but far more extensive with B than A, a facade of helpfulness, but far more extensive with A rather than B, and so forth. Here, a mid-range narcissist is triangulating a variety of different appliances, most likely non-intimate secondary source and non-intimate tertiary, with a social media post. I'm going to take you through the post. It's not long, but it allows you to understand more about the way that the mid-range narcissist uses social media, more about the way that the narcissist also uses their pet animal in order to manipulate people. The post starts off with, "This is what's on my mind." Well, first of all, sense of entitlement. Why do you think that the world needs to know what's on your mind? My posts are usually full of dog spam, and this long one is somewhat related, but also kills a lot of birds with one stone, which is a rather unfortunate use when you're talking about animals. So an update on my fur child for those who have shown interest, and on my own current mental status, ! You'll already be getting the sense of what this is really about. The narcissist and their state of mind. I need to tell you something that's on my mind, because of course you all need to listen to me. And although I'm saying that it's about my fur child, a sickeningly infantile description of a pet, it's really about telling you about my current mental status because I want some sympathy, because I need some fuel. Following Pedro's tumour and subsequent ear canal removal, firstly, he has been and is the bravest soldier, flattering the pet which manages the facade of this particular narcissist. The surgeon was confident all signs of cancer were removed along with the ear canal. However, he had 3 bacteria present during surgery within the canal, all of which were resistant to medication, and as a result of the tumour having caused an immune issue at the location, so they attacked. The often somewhat wordy and verbose method of the narcissist to explain something. Here you might think, well, you're giving the detail, but it is the rather long-winded way of telling somebody that the dog hasn't been very well. Pedro is at a high risk of reinfection, especially now his antibiotic treatment is finished. He's on his own, and time will tell. We have to pray the surgeon successfully removed any surrounding infected tissue. This will become apparent over weeks, months to come. Invoking a higher power because this is such a material issue. He has also developed a small hematoma in his ear flap, typically related to head shaking and as a result of the surgery. Now, certain people who are animal lovers and perhaps friends of this particular narcissist may well be interested in what's going on with Pedro. But there is also this presumption that this level of detail is needed to tell the world on social media. Why not just text the people that you know would be truly interested? But of course, that's not going to gather the level of fuel that the narcissist is seeking, nor manage the facade in the appropriate way. Why keep something private when it can be utilised to tell the world at large? The narcissist continues. So the point of my post is to explain that my anxiety levels are through the roof. Yes, that's what we're really getting to. I've told you all about the stuff about the dog, but this isn't what really matters, because of course I'm a narcissist and dogs don't matter to me because I have no emotional empathy. They, like humans, are an object that are used for the purposes of my needs. My sensitivity and my patience are struggling. I may not check in as often as I might usually, and I definitely feel hurt receiving any message that feels somewhat trivial to me just at the moment, and doesn't include an ask after about Pedro. Accordingly, I'm in a difficult place, and if you have the temerity to write to me but don't ask about my dog, well, you're a shitty human being and I don't like you. This narcissist is using the excuse of their dog's illness as a means to assert control over other individuals. And the narcissist continues, I may not keep my social plans. I may be shitty at work. I'm definitely shitty at home, whilst I try to hide it as best I can from the dogs as I struggle a bit coping with the day-to-day and worrying about my dog. Here, the narcissist is deflecting and showing a lack of accountability. I don't keep to social plans, but that's okay because I recognise that I don't. And because I recognise that I don't, I'm allowed to get away with it. Ditto shitty behaviour at work. And also, I can be shitty at home with regard to you because I've got anxiety and I've got lack of sleep and I'm dealing with a dog that's had surgery. So you ought to all be messaging me to find out how the dog is and, more importantly, how I am. Let's ramp up the melodrama a bit. The narcissist continues with, we all have our crosses to bear, and life is hard for us all. I recognise. We all have different priorities. I guess I just expect that people are thoughtful of what others are going through, and I'm sorry if perhaps I'm currently not good at it too. Photo of Pedro to break up the long text. And a photo of the dog is included to complete the triangulation. Passive-aggressive throughout. Pity plays, facade management, deflection, blame-shifting, invalidation, resplendent with a variety of manipulations which would all be found with middle range A or middle range B, where the narcissist is using the pet and the pet surgery to manipulate with regard to the necessity of wanting people to feel sorry for her, because ultimately her narcissism is utilising that as a means to get to the prime aims. Another excellent example, taken from social media, of the narcissist and the way that a mid-range narcissist manipulates using a pet on social media. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.